What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. It has been a while. Apologies. Been on holiday. Been taking a little bit of a break from the charts, but nonetheless, we're going to get straight back into things and see what's going on. We're going to actually start on the 3 month for a change. Something I rarely do, but just because I've been away for so long, it's probably best I do take a look at the 3 month just to see where we're drawing to, and then we'll work our way down accordingly. So on the 3 month, you can see that we are obviously still at the start of the 3 month period, as in it ends at the end of the year, which is understandable. However, there is this massive 3 month bearish order block. Now, it's important we have these levels marked out because they should be very sensitive to price, assuming that price does manage to trade into it. Now, because this is such a high time frame PD array, that means we should expect a lot of sensitivity around here, and we should expect a strong reaction that's going to simply, what's the word, like ripple down into the lower time frames, just like waves and water. Like once we hit a 3 month PD array, we will see a lot of movement and volatility around that down in the 4 hours daily and 1 hours, etc. So I'm just going to mark this out as a 3 hour bearish order block because that's exactly what it is. 3 hour bearish order block. Not 3 hours, sorry. 3 month bearish order block. And basically, we're just going to keep that on our charts because, like I said, once price gets towards it, it should be very sensitive and volatile in response to price. Now, I'm not going to mark anything in the discount area just because there's not really much to go off on the 3 month. And also, like I said, we're trading on the 1 hour and 4 hours mainly. So PD arrays like this, although they're significant, it's rare they get traded to, and it's just that when it does get traded to, we can expect a reaction. Nonetheless, let's go to the monthly. You can see we traded right through a fair value gap, showing a very strong level of bullishness, which is going to help support price in order to help us push in towards that 3 month bearish order block, which is also lined up with this monthly bearish order block as well, which is even more reason as to why I'm expecting this range right here to remain sensitive to price. So I'm expecting price to continue to draw up towards it. There's nothing stopping me from expecting nonetheless, this monthly fair value gap, we don't really need to pay attention to because, again, if we're looking at the lower time frames, we just need to know the general direction to help us with the weekly and the daily. So moving into the daily, well, we'll go to the weekly first, obviously, but moving into the weekly, I am expecting us to trade up into that, as in I'm happy to see an up close week. Yes, we haven't had a down close week for 3 weeks now. However, it hasn't yet traded into a significant PD array, which we've just delineated here. And there is a bearish order block right here as well that we're just tapping into as well. So don't get me wrong, we may get a slight reaction away from this weekly bearish order block that might, slow down this week. But nonetheless, I do still want to see price keep expanding into this range specifically. I do see this as a rejection block level. I want to see if we can get up into there and then find proper rejection and, a turn in the market at that point. So let me get that marked out. I'm going to write weekly rejection block. It's more like a weekly anticipated rejection block because it hasn't yet been used, so to speak. So we'll get that marked out like so. And then, like I said, yes, we're trading into this bearish order block. However, we're not expecting much rebound from it, so to speak. And to help us frame that, we can look at this weekly fair value gap right here between this low and this high. If we drag that out, I'm going to make this blue. And then if we mark the 50% out level of that, price shouldn't need to drop any lower than that. Now, why doesn't price need to? Well, we traded through a fair value gap and and it looks like once we get above it, it should act as a bullish fair value gap basically. So any kind of retracement back inside of the range would expect it to provide support for price. What we can do with fair value gaps as well is we can split it up into quarters, which is probably our best bet right now, especially in this context. What I'm going to do actually is I'm just going to have the lines just because I don't like having big colored boxes. It'll throw me off on the lower time frames. So we have the 50% level right here. I'm going to put 50% off weekly, 50% weekly fair value gap. We'll put that in the center. And then I'm also going to mark out the 25% level as well. Because you see how this 25% level is a bit closer to price right now? That's why I'm going to mark this out, because it's more likely that this week price may want to retrace down into that, and then we can, so long as we know where it is and we get a reaction away from it, that can help us for sure. So let's get that marked out as 25% weekly fair value gap. And then I'm going to get rid of this massive box, get rid of these. And now we have some levels that we want price to continue to respect, assuming we are going to trade up into our anticipated rejection block, into our 3-month bearish order block, which is our draw on liquidity. Another thing that adds to that as well is this range. Again, look at the 50% level, we're above it. Again, all we're doing is looking for continuous support of higher prices, especially as we're pushing up into this premium. So moving into tomorrow, so today's Tuesday, you can see we traded down. You look at that, we've traded down into that 50% fair value gap. We can't make this up, and we've come off of it. So moving into tomorrow, I want to see the similar kind of price action. I'm happy for it to come down into the 25% level, or maybe not even reach that, depending on what the 4 hour is saying. And then I want to see us be able to trade higher and run up towards the 3-month bearish order block. Now, previous highs are also PD arrays. I'll say that again. Previous highs are also PD arrays. So again, if we're expecting an up close day on Wednesday, that means we need to look out for discount PD arrays to create the low early in the day, ideally, and then expansion for the rest of the day. And then if we look at previous highs as that, then we can start looking at this level. So let's get that marked out. We can put daily high. And if you study daily highs enough, you will notice how price likes to act around them, as in they are used as significant price points, generally speaking. And what was this black level? I'm going to get rid of this. Oh yeah, this was the weekly this was the weekly bearish order block level, but we don't need to worry about that because this is our draw, and now we have a previous high that we can use that price should be able to find support on for us to help push up into there. So let's go down to the 4 hour. We'll take a closer look. Classic price action right here. We created a low, came down into a fair value gap, beautiful expansion to the upside. Looking at that last up close candle, little break around here. So moving into Wednesday, I do want to see some level of retracement. However, I am expecting continued, movement to the upside, especially looking at this. As far as I'm concerned, price shouldn't need to trade any lower than this range right here. So it'd be nice to see if I'm happy for price to dip down into it. Ideally not too much, as in past that 50% level. But generally speaking, I'm looking for price to continue to push on higher. So I'm going to quickly get the dividers up. I used to have an indicator for it, but I don't know why it's not appearing. Excuse me. But let's take a look. But yeah, it's been a long time since I've been in the charts properly, man. But I am looking forward. 22, Monday, Tuesday, and then let's just get Wednesday marked out as well. So yeah, I'm happy for continued expansion, and we should be using any kind of bullish PD arrays to help us with support for price. But generally speaking, I'm just expecting a normal day in terms of creating some kind of low early on in the day, and then I want to see continued expansion later. We have a nice swing high up here for buy side liquidity, so there is a level of draw, as in there's actual swing highs where there's going to be liquidity residing. So let's get that marked out. Buy side liquidity up there. There is an imbalance lined up with that buy side liquidity as well, which is very interesting. So we should take a look at that. But yeah, generally speaking, that's my bias for the week. So I'm looking for price to keep trading higher, and then any kind of retracement, I don't really want to see it drop much lower than that daily high, because this run right here from this high to this low, this is going to act as a bullish order block as soon as we traded through it. So if we look on the daily time frame, obviously we only have wicks. We'd have to go in between, like maybe the 12 hour or something. But my point is, from this high to this low, it is a order block because we're trading higher and using it to springboard. Jeez. Sorry. So we should be looking at this and treating it as such. As in, we can look at that 50% level, which is just below our 25% weekly fair value gap, as like the very lowest we want to allow price to trade for us to remain with our bullish bias. Ideally, we just tap that daily high at the most, and then price will springboard and continue to trade higher. But other than that, I don't really want to see much more than that. And you can see it's been quite high resistance getting up there, which is fine. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, sudden expansion and price starts running into that premium. Now, I don't actually know what high impact news we have this week, so we'll have to take a look. But nonetheless, Wednesday, I'm happy for the low to be made around here. If we are going to retrace, I doubt it's going to be spending much time down here, especially look at how much consolidation. Again, this is all high resistance, so I don't want to say too much, but at least we have our draw on liquidity. And until I see this start to get reached towards, especially this buy side here, I don't really want to start thinking about any kind of discount PD arrays, because you know, looking at how price is finding support and just continuously trading higher, and it has been, there's no reason for us to expect any kind of pullback for now. So that's everything on dollar. I hope that all makes sense. If we're expecting bias bullish on dollar, we should definitely take a closer look at GBP USD. We will start here on, let's go to the 3-month here as well, just out of curiosity. I do have a few markings, but let's just get rid of them. And similarly, we're going to be looking for price to trade into some kind of bullish PD array. And right here we have the open of a bullish order block. So it'll be interesting to see if price can get all the way down there. And like I said, previous highs are also significant, such as this high and this high. So maybe we should pay more attention to this as opposed to the open. In fact, let's do that. This is a 3-month high. Something's going around, guys, and I don't know what it is. And then let's now go to the monthly and take a closer look. And you can see price just taking out this low, making this now bearish order block. And we should be looking for some kind of bullish PD arrays, sorry. Bearish PD arrays to trade into. So we've taken out this low. Again, we've got a 3-month high to trade down into. So we've got a draw down here. We also have a bullish order block right here that we can take a look at. However, there's no imbalances. And ideally, I like to have an imbalance to work towards. And then on the weekly, voila, we have a beautiful imbalance between this high and this low that we can use as a target for price to attempt to fill. So let's get that marked out. Now, this is a massive fair value gap, so I'm not going to mark it out because, like I said, I don't like large boxes, but I will mark out the high and I will mark out the low. And the reason for that is because once it's inside that fair value gap, it will likely start to step its way down. So it'll go to the 25% level, and then if it wants to hit that 3-month previous, it'll use that and then get to the 50% level. Any lower than that, and we're likely going to fill it. I'm not necessarily expecting us to fill it. Like, we do not have to fill the imbalance, guys. I'm happy for us not to, but my point is, we need to know that there's a massive weekly imbalance there, and this is likely going to be the draw for you, for pound to get down into there. So let's get the 50% level marked out as well, because that should be very sensitive to price. Consequent encroachment, we like to call that. We'll get that marked out like so. We'll make it dash, we'll make it red, we'll make it thinner, and we'll call it C.E weekly FVG. So we've got a few codes going on here. So it'll be nice to see if price can get down into that one there. Let's go to the daily, and you can see price being very bearish. Look how it's respecting bearish PD arrays. We traded up into that, and look at this beautiful displacement to the downside. I'd like to see a continuation of that as we move into the new day. And then again on the daily, we have this fair value gap. Now this fair value gap I did draw our attention to, was it last week or the week before? My last video, if you go check it out, I was talking about this. We didn't quite trade to it last week. However, you can see how price is making its way. Oh no, it was this fair value gap. We've just traded into it today. We got a little bit of reaction away from it. But my point is, we had our eyes on that. Now I want to see, can we get into this? And it's interesting to see that that weekly fair value gap on the daily also happens to line up with a bullish order block on the daily as well. So, you know, we're starting to see some kind of, you know, pattern go on, or signals, so to speak. Actually, I don't like using the word signals in the Forex space, because I know you guys get excited. But nonetheless, beautiful delivery to the downside. Again, I don't anticipate price needs to trade back up here, as in, I just want to see continued bearish price action. I'm happy for, I don't expect much rallying to happen moving into Wednesday. Any kind of rallying, I'll see it as suspect, especially into this bearish order block, which it should respect. It should respect the 50% level if it's true. And then ideally, I'll be looking at this low, obviously, and then into the fair value gap. Remember, between this low and this high of the weekly, and then we have our targets. We have a 3-month previous high, which should be sensitive. But then we have this, which is lined up with a bullish order block, and it's 50% off this entire range anyway. So again, all we need to know is the direction, and then any kind of rallying or opportunities like that, that's when we start looking for potential setups. So yeah, that's pretty much everything on pound. I hope that all makes sense. If pound goes any higher than this, starts trading higher, whole different story. I'm probably completely wrong, and it is what it is. But generally speaking, I want to see price continue to find resistance here and push on lower. Same thing with dollar. Like if dollar, you know, stops trading higher and starts to drop lower and run for these lows, whole different story. And I'm simply like, it is what it is. But right now, my bias is wanting to see that continued price action. So Euro's running down into these lows, which is absolutely gorgeous. Let's go to the 3 month here as well, just to finish up. Now, Euro doesn't have as much going on here. In fact, let's not even go in the Euro's a bit, Euro's looking very bearish. But this low is what I have drawn out right now, just because it's a monthly low, so it's significant. There'll be liquidity residing down there, and I'm happy for price trade down into that. Let's go to the weekly, and you can see we're pretty much at it already. So let's start looking for other PDRAs, and we have this gap between this high and this low. So this is a fair value gap, but you know, look at how weak we are. Nonetheless, once price starts trading down there, I want to see it trade into it and start to fill it. So once we drop down to the lower time frames, we'll be able to have a closer look at what resides inside, and then again, our bias. But look at how price is delivering. We've created a bearish order block right here, and then today price traded up into the bearish order block, go short, and then, you know, put your stop loss at the midpoint, and then we have our goal down here, target 1, and then can we fill the fair value gap, target 2. But 4 hour, beautiful delivery, again, very heavy on the sell side. And like I said, moving into Wednesday with us being this heavy, I wouldn't be surprised if we got a Friday or Thursday reversal, because it's moving very fast, very quickly. And based off that, I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see a pullback on Thursday or Friday. So we need to anticipate that, but we don't anticipate that until it reaches our PDRA. And, you know, we're looking at its behavior, specifically at the 50% level. If it drops below there, then it'll probably keep running. If it starts to respect it and, you know, we start to get some buoyancy away from it, then we might find ourselves retracing, but we can think about that later on in the week. So yeah, that's going to be everything, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like, drop a comment, smash subscribe, join the mailing list, join us on Discord. And yeah, I should be back to normal scheduling, and I'm looking forward to getting involved. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.